It is 6:01, so we'll get started. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps community can take to prevent the spread. And all town facilities are currently open on a limited basis to the public. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. This meeting will be recorded and will be available to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link that was provided on the agenda, which was posted online, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number, which is 888-475-4499, and enter the webinar ID, which is 858-6569-7874, and then the pound sign. Let's see. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press the pound when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raised hand feature to request to speak. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. So I'm going to open it up to comment from the public, with the caveat that I have also included an agenda item, item number 2, which is input from community organizations. So if you are here from, I see the Boys and Girls Club, I see PAC at least, item number 2 would be a more appropriate time to speak on that, and I'll invite you to speak at that point. But is there any public comments from the public? Okay, is there any public comments from the committee?
Yes, Michael Ray here. I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make my fellow committee members aware that I am driving home from work, and I'm still about 10 minutes away from the house. So I may be disconnected at some point during this call as I go down Lancaster Ave. And if so, I will certainly log back in the moment I get into the house.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? And again, if you could use the raised hand feature, that would be good. That'll help. I try to do 2 things at once. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, just a real quick notification. I think it's known around town by anybody that's been paying attention, but the town charter has now been cleared the legislature, signed by the governor, and it should be back in Lunenburg by now. I would assume the town clerk will post it soon, and it will be fully in effect. Parks Commission will be working on filling its couple of seats if the process is agreed to Tuesday night with the Board of Selectmen, and that's where that stands at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Anybody else? I have, is that you, Dave? No, I have one. Oh, I had one. Okay. Okay, we will move on to our second topic, which is input from community organizations. My intent is to leave this on there to give it a spot for folks who are part of a community organization to come and give a presentation. And I know I have at least one, if not two or more here this evening. So I will, I guess, open this up. Michelle, I know that you are here to speak, so I'm going to put you in the hot seat first, and I'm going to give you the floor to talk to us first, and then we'll follow it up afterwards. And I have to apologize, Michelle. I did not send along your proposal, so the committee has not had the opportunity to see that this evening. So I just want to give you that heads up. So take it away.
Okay, so I guess since you all haven't seen the proposal I sent along, we'll just kind of start at the beginning. So the Boys and Girls Club here in Lunenburg, this summer we're celebrating our 15th birthday. I've been part of this organization for 14 years this month. We opened in 2005 as the Chester Mossman Teen Center. There had been a grassroots community effort, and there was a community needs assessment that was done that showed people in town wanted a place for the kids to go, specifically older kids who don't need daycare or babysitter, but something for them to do after school. And so that was in 1995. It took about 10 years for the group to raise the money, secure the site, and build the structure, which is here in the center of town, across the street from Town Hall. This is town property, and my understanding is that it was built with the understanding that if we were to vacate the property, the building goes back to the town. So the town gifted us the right to build on this property, and then we in turn sort of gifted the building back to them. I wasn't part of those discussions, but that's my understanding, and that's how we've been operating with the town for about 15 years now. When we first opened, we were partnered with the Montechusett YMCA, and they were the fiscal agent, and they provided some administrative services. They had their own sort of financial internal struggles. They were forced to close their own teen center and felt that because they were closing their own teen center, they shouldn't continue to provide us with services, which were sort of office administration, nothing financial. So in 2007, I think they decided to let us know that they weren't going to work with us anymore. In 2008, I called the Boys and Girls Clubs of America because I thought, you know, they only work with kids, right? YMCA is for families and anybody in the community. And Boys and Girls Clubs are just known for working with kids. And that has been our mission since I came on. We started with 7th grade and up. Then we lowered it to 6th grade. We noticed that the town had a program through the school that went through 5th grade, and we did 7th grade and up, and those poor little 6th graders were sort of in limbo. So we took them on. We've been operating as the Boys and Girls Club of Lunenburg since 2008. Attendance since I started here went from about 20 kids a day to anywhere to 80 to 100 kids a day. The attendance has grown, so then the budget has grown. When I started here, there were 2 staff members. There was a director and an assistant director. And when she left, I became the director. And I really pushed for improved security here. I felt that it was really important to supervise the kids. Even though they're older, they need to be safe. So priority number 1 was, how do we make this place really safe for the kids? And you know, over the years, I've had a phenomenal board that has given me some freedom to make changes that I thought would improve the club for the community and for the families that we serve. We ended up obviously hiring many staff members. Brent is here tonight. He's my program director. He is full-time. We hired him, I believe, in 2015. And that was because I just couldn't do it all by myself as the only full-time person anymore. So we hired Brent. He does all the fun stuff. He organizes all the activities, helps coordinate volunteers. He does a lot of outreach with families and kids. And then I do more of the office work, writing grants, administration. We don't have a secretary. We don't have necessarily a bookkeeper. So any of those types of services I'm providing right now. And we are at capacity. This building was built just for us. It is beautiful. We've been very fortunate to be here, but if there is an opportunity in your redesign to move to a site that was built with kids in mind, that would house everything under one roof, that would be ideal. When I say house everything under one roof, right now we are in our club, which is virtually 2 rooms. It's a first floor and a second floor, very open concept. No space for quiet. So if your child wants to do homework and needs any type of concentration, it's not happening in this building. So we've had a great partnership with the Lunenburg Public Library, and they've allowed us to come and use the community room 4 days a week for an hour. I have a dedicated staff member, our education coordinator. She goes over every single day right as the school bell rings. She stays with them for an hour. They can log into the club right there in the library. She provides help, supervision, incentives. We give them little snacks. But that puts us in 2 physical sites. So we have our kids that come here after school, and we have our kids that go to the library to do their homework. Then we complicate things because we don't really have a space for indoor recreation. We also are home to very active, many teenagers. So they want to run, they want to jump, they want to play, they want to yell. So we've had a phenomenal partnership that started with the Lunenburg Public Schools. They were letting us use the gym at TCP, again, at no cost to us. And when ownership of that building transferred to the town, we've been incredibly fortunate to keep that partnership. So we're using TCP gym pretty much 5 days a week for at least an hour. So that puts us in 3 physical sites. So we have 80 to 100 kids a day with, on any given day, probably 6 staff members, including Brent and myself, sometimes more than that, in 3 different physical sites. And while it's working, it's not ideal. And the potential for something to go wrong is incredibly stressful. If there's an emergency in any one of those 3 sites, we have to coordinate everybody in 3 different places, which will take triple the amount of time to make sure everybody's where they belong and safe and secure. So when years ago, 2014 actually, the Boys and Girls Clubs of America came and did a workshop with us, strategic planning, and they said, Michelle, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see your club? And I actually drew the TCP building, and I drew Boys and Girls Club hands on it, and I drew a van outside of it, and I drew kids in the gym. I actually have it hanging in my office. I drew a big eye in the sky because I wanted people to know who we were. I wanted the community to know. And I think what we've accomplished in 15 years is we've accomplished building an incredibly good reputation, which is not an easy thing to accomplish. We have built a reputation for being trustworthy and reliable and safe. And we've built a great reputation with the kids of being really welcoming and inclusive and offering them anything they want to do. You want to cook, you want to play dodgeball, you want to do homework, arts and crafts, watch a movie, play video games. We're doing it all. We're doing it all in 3 different physical locations. And if we had the opportunity to do it all under one, we could do so much more and so much more smoothly. So that's kind of why I'm here to ask you to consider us as you figure out what you want to do with this property. TCP just really offers us space that was designed for kids, indoor recreation, a bigger cafeteria so we could increase our cooking club. Increased square footage means we can serve more kids. We are cramming 80 to 100 kids in this building the size of your home. So we're 3,000 square feet. Imagine 80 teenagers in your home. It's lovely, but it's not ideal for them. And they're the ones that are losing out in the end. Sometimes they just feel like it's one big open room and they just want to sit and talk to their friends and it's too loud. They can't hear each other. And so I think we do lose kids who say, it's great, but, and then what do you do, right? So we have this opportunity with this amazing property here in town that I think a lot of other communities would be very envious of having this available space. And that was our reason for reaching out to you, is it's just been something that we've talked about and thought about and dreamed about for years now. And since you're sort of in charge of looking at what to do with it, we thought we'd come to you and give you our pitch.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Michelle. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you coming and sharing that with us. I don't want to, I guess, does anybody on the committee have any kind of clearing questions of follow-up? Well, maybe just a minute or two for that if anybody has anything. I don't want to cut it off too soon. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, hi, Michelle. Dave Passios.
Hi, Dave.
In your needs for kids' space, it sounds like, would you say you're in 3,000 square feet roughly that's usable for the kids?
Yes.
How much office space do you need?
Right now, I'm the only one with an office, and my office is probably 10 feet by 15 feet.
Okay.
It's
so,
just a ballpark, I'm guessing. I don't even think
Yep.
it's that big.
Right. Okay, so a small office, maybe a little bit more to accommodate 2 desks, 2 people working. Do you need privacy if you were to create 2 offices?
I think privacy is important when we have to deal with an issue that comes up, or sit with a family, sit with a parent to talk about how we can better help this child, how we can work together with the parent and the school. So there are times when privacy is important. The other thing that I probably should have mentioned is security is one of my biggest concerns. Again, we're working our program in 3 different physical locations, plus the kids are playing in the parking lot outside, which doubles as a municipal lot, which I know causes stress on the community for parking. And we have the half-court basketball court. So our door at this time is unlocked because it opens and closes probably 5,000 times in the 4 hours that we're open. It's nonstop.
Yep.
And it's because we're in all these different locations. Whereas if we were to have a space in TCP where everything is centrally located, even the grassy field outside is right adjacent to the building. We would have a much easier time securing the staff and the kids. And that building just offers us a better opportunity to keep the program itself safe. So I should mention, in addition to privacy, obviously safety is my top concern.
Okay, that's great. One other quick comment, and I'm assuming you would agree with this. One of the big concerns with your present location and the possible uses of TCP is that most, if not all of your kids walk past this property, up Memorial Drive or across the field, past the senior center to get to your location.
Yes.
Do you see that migration, and I know what the answer is going to be, but I got to say it anyway, but that migration being improved, shortened, and much safer if, say, you were in the back wing of TCP? Absolutely.
I mean, it's sort of, when you question that piece, it's a no-brainer, right? It's right across the parking lot from the high school. We have had issues in the past where traffic gets rerouted up Memorial Drive, and I'll stand out there, my staff will stand out there. We've been lucky to have friends at the senior center who will look out for our kids and make sure they're stay on the side, stay on the grass. We're lucky that we're not on a busy main road. But just knowing that they just have to walk across the parking lot would, for especially the families of our 6th graders and even some of the 7th graders, their families would be very thankful to know they're not walking all the way to the teen center by themselves.
Okay, great. And as I said, that was a given, but I just wanted it to be verbalized by both of us. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, Brian. You're muted.
Hi, Michelle. This is Brian Layton. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for all that you do. My question was in regards to the outdoor spacing. You said you had the basketball court. What were your outdoor needs in regards to spacing?
So you know, the kids like to be outside. That's the bottom line. They like to be outside to do sidewalk chalk. They love to play 4 square or 9 square. If you're really good, you play 9 square. Basketball is a really big thing with our kids. So the gym at TCP affords them the opportunity to play full court. The outdoor needs are best served in a grassy area. We have about a postage stamp sized grassy area that's not conducive to any game other than maybe duck, duck, goose, which we turn into drip, drip, drop, and we play with water because duck, duck, goose is boring. But having access to the grassy fields, they could play wiffle ball, they could play kickball, which we try to play in our parking lot right now. It's not ideal. It gives the senior center a lot of concern because we kick towards the senior center instead of towards the road. Being at TCP puts them away from traffic. It puts them away from running out into the road to catch a ball. We are there to stop them, but let's be honest, they're kids and things happen. And so the area of the grassy fields is really valuable, especially in good weather, if it's right next to where we are. If it requires us to count our kids and take them down to the field and count them when we get there and play and bring them all back, it's a much bigger undertaking than just walking out the door to play kickball. So, you know, I went to TCP, so I envision it as the busy school that it was when I went there. And I think of all the things that we did as kids when our teacher would take us outside or we would go play in the field. And those things are just made for our kids, so.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a couple more here. Hang on, Tom. I'm going to acknowledge Michael Ray first.
Hey, good evening.
Hi.
You may have already answered this question. I dropped you a couple of times while driving.
That's okay. Lancaster Ave, man. I get it.
How much program space, you mentioned consolidation, that you currently have 3,000 square feet. How much square footage are you looking for?
We definitely can't do anything smaller. It's not possible. I think ideally, I'm thinking if I had my way, 4,000 to 5,000 square feet would enable us to serve those extra kids, add in activities that we struggle to do because they're all in one space. Maybe a space for like STEAM, right? Like we have a lot of kids that really like Lego and Connects and all those kinds of activities. They do that right next to the pool table, the air hockey table, and 5 video games. So they literally just sit on the floor and play. Whereas if we had a room dedicated or an area of a room dedicated to something like that, and just having a little more space would mean being able to serve a few more kids. And I think that's really what this is about. I think, you know, we started with 20 kids a day, and I remember when we had 40, I was taking pictures. Oh my God, this is great. And our busiest day was 121. It was a rainy day. That was lovely. So everybody was inside. We have a rule that you have to be upstairs or down. You can't hang out in the hallway. You can't hang out in the stairway. You have to be where a staff can see you. And they physically were sitting on the stairs because there just wasn't room for them to spread out and play and do homework and eat a snack. So I think that a good 4,000 to 5,000 would be ideal. And then having access to the gym, obviously, can throw 25 kids in there to play dodgeball, and it's very comfortable and works for many more families, I think, too.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Alonso, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the committee. I'm on tonight because as a previous board member of the Boys and Girls Club for 10 years, I know full well a lot of the history. And actually, before Michelle was on as director, I was involved very tangentially, but I was still involved to some degree with the people who led the effort to build the building. And when they had the vision of building the building, I think that it was a 10-year fight. And some of it was a fight. Some of it was just typical fundraising. But they never envisioned when the building was built that it would be outgrown, and probably not outgrown as quickly as it was. But it really is a testament to the success of the people who run that. And of course, Michelle's not going to get on and tout her own abilities, but I will do that for her because, you know, as director for the past 15 or 14 years of the 15-year history, she is instrumental in the growth. And of course, Brent as well, since he's come on, it's boomed again. And I think that it is a true town resource in such that it really services families, kids of families from every walk of Lunenburg. And we understand the unique opportunity and how rare it is to have this kind of space even potentially available. And we just want to portray that, you know, the reputation that Michelle referenced was built over lots of years and lots of generations. I mean, we're seeing kids and older siblings whose younger siblings are now going, people coming back to work at the club. So it really has deep, deep community roots, even though it's only 15 years old. And the opportunity that's afforded by your committee in looking at a redesign presents itself just perfectly to what they do and the mission that they do, and to incorporate all the things that Michelle mentioned, the space element, the unifying all the different buildings into one location again, to bring safety and oversight back into a building that's much more secure. Again, this is a stick-built building that is housing 100 up to 80 to 100 kids a day, every day that it's open, and that takes a lot of wear and tear on the building. So all those things together, and it also opens up an opportunity to expand. They're servicing, how many people are members? I think, Michelle, like around 200 members?
Yeah, so we actually stopped taking memberships one year at 175 because we had such high attendance. We try to take 200 kids a year. We could easily do 250 without even blinking an eye. We would get those registrations. So
200 out of, if the average class size is hovers around 100, 110, that's like 1/3 of the population. And I think they could do more. And I think that when it gets that crowded, you actually have people who don't come because their ability to be effective goes down once you get it that crowded. So it really does afford a great opportunity here in so many regards. And I do hope that if given the opportunity and the space needs, I know there's other people who are going to be wanting it. I'm fully cognizant of that. But really, this is a great fit for the next level of a well-established community organization that services so many. And I appreciate you allowing me to speak those words in support of the club and support of the club's administration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, it just brought up one question that I have. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I had heard that one of the directions that the local Boys and Girls Club is taking is to merge with another Boys and Girls Club entity. If you could very briefly explain that process to us and how that's going to affect the numbers, because that tells me a little better as to how the space is going to be appropriate for the numbers you expect.
So the Boys and Girls Club of America has, for years, their sort of business mission was grow the clubs, grow the clubs, grow the clubs. And what we've been told is that some of those quickly grown clubs were struggling to succeed. So overall, BGCA is asking clubs to partner together. They're asking clubs that have been around for 100 years to partner with someone. They believe that collaboration is an effective way to strengthen your organization. They believe that sharing services, primarily services, not resources, but sharing services can strengthen your organization. We can't afford a bookkeeper, but perhaps if we joined with another club, we would be able to have a bookkeeper for a couple hours a month that would take some pressure off of me or some work off of my plate. So the Boys and Girls Clubs of America has asked us for years to partner with another club, and there's really only one around us. I don't know if you're familiar with Leominster and Fitchburg. They're a phenomenal club, started right around the same time as us. They're operating in very different communities. They're more of an, I'll say urban, you know, Leominster and Fitchburg are towns in compared to some of our larger cities here in Massachusetts. But Leominster and Fitchburg, as I noted in my proposal, which I'm sure Greg will forward to all of you so you can kind of see that, they opted in 2010 to focus on Leominster and Fitchburg. So we continue to explore other clubs in the area. At the end of the day, I don't think any partnership with another club will have any impact on our attendance, because kids in Worcester don't care what kids in Lunenburg are doing and vice versa. I don't think that there's not another club in the area that kids would come to us. There's nothing in Townsend, Shirley, Groton, none of our local towns. That being said, we get calls all the time to see if kids from Townsend can come here. And my rule has always been, if you can get here, you can come here. They can't get here. So no matter what club BGCA asks us to partner with, that's not going to grow our numbers. What grows our numbers is the work that we do, the relationships the kids build with the staff, the kids that grow up to be junior staff and volunteer and then come and work for me during college or on their summers home. That's what grows the numbers here. It's not anything to do with any administration or business mission. It's really interpersonal relationships, fun they have with their friends, and the fact that they all feel like this is a second home. The other part of any partnership that I am really a stickler about is that if anybody donates to this club, 100% of your donation stays right here. Unless noted, we have ongoing fundraisers that happen with other clubs. For instance, North End Subaru here in Lunenburg is a huge supporter. They are phenomenal. And every year for the last 5 years, we've been part of their Share the Love campaign, where people who purchase the car can choose to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. North End Subaru has chosen to donate half the money to our club and half to Leominster and Fitchburg, because they truly feel that they can do the most good by serving the most kids. So there are times when we partner with local clubs for specific fundraisers, but if we were to develop a long-term partnership with a club, I don't see that changing almost anything in terms of how we service the kids, how many kids we can take in, and the opportunities that we can serve them. It would just be more back office stuff, you know, someone to administer payroll or someone to do the bookkeeping. It wouldn't have any impact on the day-to-day operations that the kids and families see.
Great explanation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks very much, Michelle. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I did forward your proposal just now.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I apologize for that.
No,
I was
that's
forwarding
okay.
along.
That's okay.
I meant to attach it to one of the emails that I sent to the committee, and I just fell off my radar screen.
That's okay. I think it'll be a good refresher after you all have a minute to look it over.
Mr. Chair, I have one question. I'm sorry, my raised the hand.
Go ahead.
My raised the hand doesn't work here.
Oh,
Michelle,
okay. Sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. It's Zoom's fault. Anyway, Michelle, could you clarify again the square footage of the building you're in now?
So a rough estimate is 3,000 square feet. The Boys and Girls Club of America asks me to take out things like the stairway, the bathrooms, the office. But it's roughly a 3,000 square foot building with an office, 4 single stall bathrooms. The kitchen, kids are only allowed in if they're with a staff member. Like, so for cooking club, kids can be in there with a staff member or guest chef, if any of you would like to come and cook. So we have a good amount of space in this 3,000 square foot building that's really not usable for programs. So that's a great point, that we deduct the 4 bathrooms, the stairways, my office, the kitchen. So you probably lose somewhere between 500 and 1,000 square feet on those spots, I would guesstimate.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, because looking at the size of the rooms, being there, having been there, looking at the size of the rooms, I was amazed when you said 3,000. I was going to say you're lucky if you had 2,000, 2,200. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Because so when you say, living with 4,000, you almost be able to double your size.
Absolutely. 4,000 would be phenomenal.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you.
And if I could add, that also speaks to some of the peripheral needs that you need if you were allotted a 4,000 square foot area, a small office could be taken out of that, so on and so forth. So you'd still increase your actual functional footage for kids, square
Yes.
footage. Okay,
Yes, that's a
thank you.
great point. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much, Michelle. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And don't be a stranger. You know, we feel free to reach out and come and see us again if you so
Excellent.
feel. So thanks very much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thanks.
Okay, I will now hand it off if he feels like he needs to talk to us to Steve Walker with the PAC. If Steve, I'll give you the floor. When you done, will you let's see.
Maybe I can.
You're good. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate the invitation. I've only got a couple of comments to make, but I would appreciate that you keep the item on the agenda to let people such as me come, because I think it's important to all of us that we all share the entire space in a sensible and creative way. So we did meet, Joe and I met with the architect. He sent us a copy of his notes, has some errors in them, which I'm working with Joe to get back to him. So his numbers are not necessarily right, but we'll do that as soon as possible. And when we have one that we are all agreeing on, we'll get it back to you. I saw 2 screenshots from your previous meeting where the architect had moved PAC, and there are a couple of issues with both of those, but I don't think, do we not have an architect here today?
We do not this evening.
Okay.
They will be here. They'll be here on the 10th, but they weren't quite ready for a complete update, so we told them that. Yeah.
Well, I will try and get the comments on the document to him before that so he can use them. But
That'd be
2
great.
of the
Yeah.
pictures that he put up apparently, or somebody put up at the last meeting, because I looked at the YouTube version of it. One has PAC divided with a corridor going through the middle of it that other people have access to. And I'd have to say, I don't know, I can't tell from this screenshot which one it is. But anyway, it was sort of where we are at the moment and space the other side of the principal corridor there. That for us would be quite a significant problem, because we need to be able to move amongst the studios and the offices. So we're really looking for contiguous space if that can be done. There was another one that I saw where PAC seemed to be an additional, an extension to the building at the end. Both of these suffer from an issue that we did bring up with the architect, which is very important to us. We have to be able to have the public come in to our studio space day and night. So not just when the town offices are open, and we have to have them be able to come in while properly securing us away from the town offices, especially, you know, if it's happening in the evening. We need them to be able to come in, because that's when they can come into the studio sometime. There may be videographers coming in to do editing and things like that. And because some of these are volunteers, we have to work around their time as well. So somehow, I don't know if there were other pictures, I only grabbed these 2. But we need to continue that discussion if that's at all possible. The only other comment I have, if you would indulge me, and that is, we post our meetings on the town website. There's a space for them. And right now, if you go there for this committee and look for agendas, there's one in January and there's one in April. I can tell you how PAC handles it, and as chair, that's entirely up to you how you handle it. But what we do is we put the agenda together for a Monday meeting, is done and sent to the town clerk by Thursday, but during the day on Thursday, the week before. She will then take it and put it on the town board where anyone can see it. And it makes your life easier because then you don't have to send me a special email with the link in, which I appreciate you doing. Thank you. But it would make things easier for members of the public to get in. So I just offer that as a comment.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. And I'll open it up to questions too, but I just in response to the last one, that's what I do. I send it to the clerk on Thursday. And
well, it wasn't up there. Yeah, it wasn't up there yesterday.
yeah. Huh.
So
Well,
piece of 2x4 around the back of the head works wonders.
yeah. Okay, but anyway, I do the same thing. Everybody, I send it to the clerk greater than 48 hours so she can post it as a legal meeting. And after after it leaves my hands, I'm not sure where she puts it, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Steve.
You're welcome.
I will open it up to any questions. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the potential adjacencies and configuration of the floor plan. And by no means, Steve, as you know, there's nothing even close to final at this point.
I understand.
They're still taking puzzle pieces and shuffling them around. And we've still got a lot of discussing to do also. But I see one note that they added to this floor plan pointing to what I believe is possibly the master studio, and it says requires a higher ceiling. Could you explain that need to me?
Yes, what we would prefer, and so it's not that we have to go in and make a higher ceiling, but whatever they do with the roof, because they've been talking about that, doesn't make it overall lower. We have to put a framework of pipes fairly close to the ceiling. And then we have the flexibility to hang primarily lights, but also microphones from time to time from that. It makes for a very flexible studio organization. We may also end up having to put in a raised floor. I don't know if that'll be necessary, but the benefit of that is you can run all your cables wherever you need them. That's particularly for microphones, under the floor, and they pop out through little holes, little covers that are set up. Our first and preferred request would be to put the whole of PAC into the gym and give us the kitchen area upstairs as well. That's clearly not going to happen, so we're not asking for that. But that has a gorgeously high ceiling and would be wonderful for us. The present classroom where we are, my guess is the ceiling's about 10 or 11 feet, I'm not sure. And that probably is just about enough. But I just wanted the architect not to put us in a different part of the building that has low ceilings.
Okay, and that was what I was picturing in my head, Steve, was the area that you're in. I actually was there for third grade. And I would have guessed 12 feet to the ceiling, but I was a little kid then. So,
right.
But I know what you're talking about with the ceiling height in that corridor section. I don't remember the ceiling heights in the other wing that goes off towards, comes off of what used to be the principal's office and up to the first grade wing. So thank you for that explanation as to what that basically means, and it makes total sense that you need to be able to mount your studio infrastructure in a way that it'll work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Mr. Chair, this is Dave Blatt here.
Go ahead, Dave. Yep.
Mr. Walker, roughly, it's a little confusing, but roughly how many square feet in total are you looking for?
2,600.
Okay.
That's divided up into one principal studio, which is just over a third of that. And then it's all the support, the control room, couple of offices, couple of editing areas.
Okay. And would your preference be to, like, if we looked at selectmen's meetings, other meetings being towards the gym and cafeteria side, would your preference to be closer to there, or should it not matter?
To a great extent, it doesn't matter. What we will end up doing, as long as the building is constructed sensibly, we will have the ability, without having to bring a contractor in, to run cables in kind of an openable conduit, if you like. So
Yep, understood. Raceway.
something we
Yeah,
can
raceway.
throw.
Yeah.
And then as long as they're in the building, we can set this up once with permanent or semi-permanent cameras, and we will then run it from our control room in our studio space.
Thank you. That's perfect. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Relative to the meeting, right now we have one meeting room in town that has permanently fixed cameras.
Yes.
How does your committee feel about those from a functional standpoint, and are those is that a preferred option if you have meeting space that would be used for public meetings other than the primary room? Is it advantageous to have fixed cameras like that, or I call them fixed, but they can rotate and things, or does that have operational issues, or just like your thoughts on that?
No, we would, if there's a public meeting room equivalent basically to the Bilota, then we would want to put in a permanent camera array with controls, they're pan, tilt, zoom controls. And all of that and the audio would all get fed back to our control room. So although we wouldn't necessarily be adjacent, we would be able to see everything that's going on and produce whatever's needed for that meeting.
Okay.
If I may, so Steve, that in effect, what that does is it takes the Bilota room infrastructure that you have there, not necessarily that equipment, but that type of equipment, sets up in whatever's going to be the primary meeting room, and it does the same thing that it does now, basically transmits to your control room, or is that a control room by itself in town hall?
The control room in the town hall is kind of a hybrid because, amongst other things, it's the interface to Comcast cable. It is adjacent there, which is convenient, but it's also blind insofar as we don't have a window. That equipment that's in there to a great extent would be relocated. Those cameras, if I remember rightly, I'm not sure if Joe's on this call, are about 2 years old. They're high definition cameras. They're very good quality. So at the right time, we would relocate all that equipment.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Jeffries.
My follow-up is similar to the question that Mr. Roy asked. So as we consider additional conference space, I think that there's a need perhaps to make sure that additional meetings held in that space can be recorded. Do you have a preference then? Is your expectation that if there are, let's say, 2 meeting rooms or 3 meeting rooms in whatever this future design is, for all 3 of those areas to be wired, or do you intend to have mobile equipment?
Our preference is actually to hardwire them. Whether the cameras are permanently set up, if you had the principal one, I expect us to install cameras, just move the Bilota ones. For 1 or 2 more, depending on costs, because we have to manage that as well, either set up all the cabling so you can bring cameras in, or if we can get them at the right kind of price, install them and have them all have, if you like, an appearance in the control room. So there would be a desk for each of the meeting rooms, and when there's a meeting on, it reduces the number of staff that we need to manage multiple meetings, and for us that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Anybody else? Okay.
Thank
Steve,
you. I
thanks.
appreciate the opportunity.
And I do intend to have this agenda item on, sort of moving forward here, at least for the foreseeable future. So
When I can, I will try to be here.
okay, great, thanks. Okay, I think I have Corinne from the Lions Club. I will recognize you. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm not getting your audio. Anybody else getting it?
No.
Still down. Still no.
No.
Nope.
So Corinne, we show you having a phone hookup also? And your phone's
Yeah.
on mute. Does that make sense?
Let me try to unmute that phone.
I don't think you can do it.
Nope, I can't unmute the phone. Oh,
There you go.
Down it.
Yes.
there you go.
Thank you. Okay, thanks for letting me speak here tonight. I heard about this meeting just a couple of hours ago, so I'm not as well prepared as the first two speakers. Their presentations were wonderful. But I did want to mention that about a month and a half ago or so, at one of our regular meetings, we actually talked about, you know, the TC Passios building and geez, what are they going to use this for? And could we utilize it for the Lions Club? The Lions Club in town provides a lot of services to families, but our most well-known service is the food pantry that we host. And currently it is housed at the Public Safety Building. And by house there, I mean we're in the upstairs attic space where we keep our shelves of food, stacks of canned goods and so forth. And we have a little corner that we work in and fill our baskets that we hand out to the community. It is up several stairs, which makes it hard to transport the food we bring in, as well as the food we send out. Some of the other drawbacks of the location are that, you know, it is the public safety building. Having vehicles and people come in and out of that location can sometimes be dangerous, depending on if there's a safety call or something else going on at the time. Residents are not allowed in the building, only the Lions Club workers. So we have to carry the food outside to where those people can pick up what they need. So we're looking for a more central location, first floor, you know, level, so that we don't have to deal with the stairs. A little bit more space to house the food that we receive in donations, whether from the community or whether from Hannaford or local farms and gardeners. And a place to not only organize that, have it available to people to come pick up, but possibly utilize that same space for our monthly meetings. We do meet monthly. We usually have maybe 20 people will show up for a meeting. We currently utilize the library for that. But if we had a room available that we could configure to accommodate that as well, then we would have everything contained in one space. As far as the cafeteria, that was also mentioned. We serve pancake breakfast monthly at the Eagle House Senior Center, which I'm not saying that we would take it away from the Eagle House, but the thought came up that we could do other types of service meals or potluck dinners for the community. So access to the cafeteria would be of interest to us as well. You know, that's where we're at right now with our initial brainstorming ideas. And, you know, we just wanted to get in on the conversation, and I'd be happy to pull together more information for you. I can try to take any questions now, but if I don't have the answers, I would request that you let me get back to you with the answers after I do some more research.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate you coming. Same as before, I'll entertain questions. We'll start with Michael Ray.
Hey, Corinne, thanks for coming here today and expressing your concerns with the Lions Club and the need for them to have more space. I know that you guys do such important work for our community. You know, I haven't been to your location at the safety building. Do you have an estimate of how much square footage you guys currently occupy?
I do not at this time. I could guess that it's probably a 50 by 40 space in the corner of that attic space that we use.
All right, and so I guess a follow-up then would just be a question on how much space you currently occupy. And then the next question is going to kind of second to that, which is, and how much space would you need? You know, do you currently have enough space?
No, we don't. We have boxes piled upon boxes and canned goods upon canned goods. So we definitely need to expand a bit. Okay.
Yeah, I worked with the food pantry in Cambridge, and you know, we similar kind of struggle where as the success of the program, as more people are helped, you know, you need more room basically, and that certainly is understandable. And then also the population that generally is helping is, in my experience, tends to be a little older, so first floor is really important, lack of stairs or an elevator.
Exactly. Yep.
And how many, roughly, if you wouldn't mind estimating, what kind of public, if you had the ability to have the public come in, how many people would that, as far as traffic goes, in the course of a week, course of a month, how much foot traffic would that see?
Yeah, I can get the actual numbers from the food pantry coordinators, but from my knowledge, basic knowledge, it depends on the time of year, of course. But I would say we serve anywhere from 80 to 100 families on a regular basis. So that would be, you know, 1 or 2 people coming in to pick up throughout the course of the month. It wouldn't be somebody comes every single day or even every single week. You know, some people might come once a month. Some people might be on an every other week type service. But that would be my ballpark guess, but I can get more firm numbers on that. In addition, I could just say we do a big Thanksgiving distribution as well, which that's up in the air right now for this year because of COVID. So we have to work more on that. But that usually sees anywhere up to about 130 families that are served just at Thanksgiving time alone.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Dave Passios. You're muted, Dave.
Sorry about that. Dave Passios, Corinne. Just a very quick question. At present, do you store any perishables, and do you have equipment to store? I'm thinking refrigeration or anything like that. And will you require that in the future?
We currently have a freezer in a Lions home. He's hosting that for us right now. It would be ideal to be able to bring that into the pantry and have everything in one place. As far as other perishables, typically we don't store those for any length of time in the pantry because of the fact that they're perishable. We are able to work with Hannaford. They are wonderful to us, and go up and pick up several times a week the fresh bread, the fresh produce, and so forth.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Did I say your name incorrectly? Is it
It's Corinne.
Corinne, okay, I apologize for that.
Nope.
Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. And again, you know, feel free to come back and see us. Our next meeting is the 10th. And we'll have an agenda item like this again. So we, and I apologize if you just got this notice. We're trying to get this out as much as we can here. So I'll keep you on the list. If you can email me, I'll send you an agenda.
Sure.
So you have. Great.
Absolutely. And I will bring support next time for you all.
Super. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Mhm.
Okay, we will now turn to our next agenda item. I have to say, I should say two things. Brian had to drop off because he had a subcommittee meeting, I believe, relative to his school committee responsibilities. So that's why he had to drop off. And I have to drop off at 7:30. I have a public hearing that I have to attend. So I just wanted to say that out loud. I can maybe drag my feet for a few minutes, but I'll need to try to hard stop then.
Mr. Chair, what's our quorum number?
We think we need 4, which could be problematic here. So let's
Let's move it along.
let's not dawdle. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So the next agenda item is a status update from the architect. The architect is not here this evening. They will have a much better handle on things for the next meeting. It was sort of up in the air, if you remember last meeting, whether or not they would be ready. So, but they did ask me to share an updated adjacencies plan that I sent along, and I will screen share here. One second here, I was trying to expand my window again. So I haven't had a chance to study this. So they asked us to run this by the committee and pass along any comments that we might have. So if anybody has any members of the committee have any comments relative to this, now's the time.
Mr. Chair, this is Dave Blatt.
Go ahead, Dave.
The only thing I see on this is that it looks like for some reason they got the town manager is not with the town offices.
I saw that too.
And that's a concern. And so, to me, it's just would be, I think there could be a little bit better use of some of the layout, especially as we just talked to PAC. Maybe there's a way of putting PAC in that section, that lower section where town manager is and that staff lounge, and keeping all the town offices in that one wing.
Yeah, I saw that
And
too.
actually that would make PAC kind of centrally located for everything, as well as having a door to the exterior if they had to have people at night.
Right.
This is Joe McLaughlin with PAC. I don't know how to raise my hand.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, it kind of looks like PAC was wiped off the face of the of this graphic. Only one little, well, actually now I can see it. It's there, but it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if I like this graphic as much as I like the ones last week. So, but that's for our committee to decide.
Yeah, and again, this is still the architect sort of, I don't want to say spitballing, but I think that's probably not giving it enough of what it's due, but this is still kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together and trying to fit things together. So we're certainly nowhere near to a final outcome, but I appreciate that input, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to cut you off, Joe. Did you have something else or?
No, that's it. I just wanted
Okay.
to see what this version was going to look like.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, a couple of things. I would ask the town manager how she feels about that location, because I don't necessarily feel that the town manager needs to be entangled in the hour-by-hour, day-to-day operations of the town offices. She's within a short distance, easily accessible. The other thing being is that the way they've laid this out, trying to sort out adjacencies, they have consolidated the general public areas into one section of the building. down to basically what I'm looking at is the superintendent's office and the town manager's office. And from there on out, youth programs and school use, making it much easier to secure those uses. So I wouldn't discount that town manager location without really checking with her and thinking it through a little bit more. And I think there may be a couple other spots that town manager office could be that would bring it closer. I see 800 square feet of miscellaneous offices. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I do know that was my dad's office, the nurse's office, and a secretary's office when I was a kid. And reconfigured, I think that would make a great town manager's office. But again, it puts her right at the beginning of where the foot traffic comes in for town office business, and you don't necessarily need your town administrator that accessible and that visible. Thank you.
Well, the town manager is with us, so would she like to comment on that?
Yes, I would. When I saw this depiction of where possible offices was, I was concerned that it's separated from all the other town offices. I think it is important for our office to be amongst the other town offices and not segregated. And I'm not sure, so there's limited access in that red corridor. So that would segregate our office even further. And we do have a lot of applicants for either whether it be liquor licensing or other types of licensing, miscellaneous stuff, people that I meet with that would have to have access to our office. I think it's less significant. I mean, having PAC over in that vicinity makes less sense to me than having the town manager's office over there.
If I may, Greg, through you to Heather, what do you feel about the roughly 800 square feet that's listed as miscellaneous office?
So the architect had put together the number, the 1,000 square feet, and that was also based on what we needed for file storage space. So I would have to re-examine the numbers because I think that would cut us short on what we need for storage as well as at 3 offices.
And does that need to be in-office storage? It's just a question,
Yes.
so I can, okay.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
access those all the time.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
Michael Ray, go ahead.
Hey, so a couple of thoughts about this as well is I'm going to second the town manager's feedback here. It seems as if what makes so far what makes the most sense is having where PAC is over in the staff in the town hall section of the building. For the town manager to be over there seems to make a lot more sense. Having PAC in the location that they're currently in on that half the hallway, that will provide them with the 2,600 square feet that they're asking for, that they see as a need for them. So, so I would recommend moving PAC back to their current location, moving the town hall, moving the town manager and necessary storage back over there. I want to also make the note that I see that they added in the student toilets, which I think are excellent. I said they have the staff bathroom, which is excellent. And they have the public toilets, which also is excellent. One of the things last week that Mr. Allison brought up, which I think is a really important point, is that, we as a community, that we have a lot of people that are between the ages of 20 and 55, where they don't have designated space. And it seemed as if last week that the concept of a not that age here matters so much, but it seems that the concept of multi-use space that could be used by multiple organizations will be very helpful. And I see that that's absent from this plan. And I'm not sure if it's because we can't have the Boys and Girls Club and the after school program and make all those space requirements work. You know, I personally would like to see the Boys and Girls Club in this plan, but I'm not sure, but I'm also open to them not being in this plan. Because, you know, we are going to have some buildings that are vacant if this works that we're going to need to do something with. And certainly, you know, I think that either something that I have in mind is perhaps Boys and Girls Club may be better suited for the Ritter, or perhaps some of that multi-use space that we're talking about may be better suited for one of the buildings that would be left vacant as a result of this. But I think that I would encourage that we see what multi-use space looks like, see what rooms for different organizations and clubs, what that would look like in this kind of design, and what then the squeezes are. I know that we can't make everything happen, but it would just be helpful to know if all town offices are here, if PAC is here, if superintendent's office is here, what's left, you know, and what that space is that's left. That seems to be a better way to frame this conversation going forward for what to do with that space than maybe this move around the block.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, sorry, I'll raise my hand this way.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I just a couple of questions on this here is that I'm seeing, you know, there's we've already discussed the town managers, but I see a 2,000 square foot. Is that a conference room that we see when you first walk in to the town side of the building? And, you know, so I see that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The other side
Looks like it.
Okay, so that's one thing, but that's not even there. So it looks like there could be room for that 20 to 50 crowd, because we have what looks like a staff lounge and a office lounge across from this, you know, surrounding the town manager's office. So it says offices lounge. I am assuming LNG means lounge. 950. Yeah, that 950 square feet, and then you have another, you know, 420 and another conference room, so 620 square feet. So we have over 1,600 square feet, 2,600 square feet there. The other question I had is, there's 2 rooms for extended daycare. I'm not sure I understand that. Why they would be, you know, why extended daycare? You'd want to separate them, and you know why I would have preschool. You know, it just I'm a little bit confused there as to, you know, the location of those rooms and why you would separate extended daycare from extended daycare. I'm not sure if Brian, if you know what they are doing there.
Oh, Brian's back. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the breakdown is particular way. I don't know if the architect would have an idea, or with their interview with the school.
And we'll pass it on. My sense is that they're trying to make sure they keep be true to the square footages that were allowed, but trying to work out adjacencies. And maybe there was something when they interviewed the extended day folks where they had 2 distinct programs and they could separate. I don't know. But we can forward that back.
Yeah. The other side of that is that, I mean, right now you have a lot of these groups in a building where they've been able to expand, you know, just use as much room as they can possibly use, because there's nobody else there. And I question sometimes whether they need the room or just want the room. You know, so if we're looking at it as, we just talked to the Boys and Girls Club and they said, okay, 4,000 square feet could be 100 kids a day. Is that telling me that extended daycare is 75 kids, 100 kids a day for extended daycare? You know, so that's just some of the things I'm thinking about as we look at this plan. I don't think we've ever had a good explanation as to how everybody came about the square footage they picked. And I agree with Mr. Jeffries. I'd like to see more room designated to, you know, different other different groups for or other possibilities. And that's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. My question I had was, I guess, more to the town manager through the chair. If it's, is there a
go
plan?
ahead.
does the town manager have a plan for the Boys and Girls Club building if that was to be vacant? And then the second part would be, would school offices make sense to potentially go in that building to free up some space?
To answer your first question, there is no plan if the Boys and Girls Club vacated the current building. And what was your second question? I'm sorry.
Would it make sense, or would you be willing to have the school offices move to that building to, one, free up space here and also give a separate space for the school offices?
So school central offices.
Yes.
That's would be a conversation I could have with the superintendent, if that's would even be feasible or make sense as far as programming, because I don't know what her proximity to so special ed service director, and the other staff that's located at the building. I think they would all want to be in the same building.
All the school administrators.
Right.
But that square footage would be able to cover them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would recommend having the conversation. It could potentially free up some space, and they're not necessarily town offices, but it could be school offices separate.
Okay. Anybody else?
Could we invite the superintendent to join us in the near future so we can have these
Absolutely.
discussions firsthand? And
Yeah.
maybe pass on our questions and the direction of the possible discussions, so that if she feels she should have any conversations with the school committee, she'd be able to do that prior to meeting with us.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
I'll send a direct invite. Okay. Anybody else? So I'm going to just direct, this will be recorded, I would imagine be on YouTube tomorrow. So I'm just going to pass, architects asked that we just pass this feedback along. So I'll just send this sort of clip with the timestamps over to them. It's probably the easiest thing. And we'll go from there. I don't want to cut anybody off, but anybody else? Okay. All right. I'm going to stop this screen share. Hold, bear with me here. Okay. Let's see. One second. My computer's slow here. Okay. All right. So next agenda item is community outreach. I sent an email along. I don't know if people got it, with a draft article for the, I don't even know if I want to call it an article. It's pretty short, for the ledger. And I just wondered if anybody had any thoughts or comments or revisions or additions or deletions or anything.
I think you got Brian with his hand raised.
Sorry, I put my go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Craig. I would just say I liked it. Thanks for doing that. The only thing I would say is, I think just because our schedule is kind of sometimes fluid, I would just mention the next two meeting dates. I wouldn't even say we meet.
Right. That's a good idea. Yeah.
That gives a limit to next two meetings, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could find it too on the website.
Yeah.
After that.
Okay. Anybody else?
But I'll raise. I agree with Brian. I like the format, in the short and sweet, and just instead of giving them typically we meet twice a month, just let them know next two meetings, because as we talked about, we like to cut the kind of take this quickly.
Okay. Anybody else?
I just want to agree. Think it looks good, and I support that revision.
Okay. I would like to make a motion on this. I'd like this to be a committee, the committee doing this, not Greg Roy. So I will accept the motion, or any other comments.
I move that we authorize the chair to publicize or send this a letter that he's drafted with the small revisions that we just mentioned to the ledger, and it be posted anywhere else appropriate.
This is Brian Leighton, and I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay.
I'm
oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
Greg, one last thing. I would,
Yep.
as Mr. Walker mentioned earlier, I would probably see if this could be on the Channel 8, the little feed of having this pop up on that as well.
Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah.
For those folks, you know, it just, I think he could put that up there pretty easily as a town announcement. So
Sure.
it's not just all the senior center,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Eagle House, and that's it.
Yep. I think that would be captured in Dave's motion. So.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
Okay. I'll do a roll call. Dave Passios,
Aye.
Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray Jeffries,
Aye.
Brian Leighton.
Aye.
Did
Yes.
I get that right? All right.
Yes. Aye.
And aye for me. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Unanimous. Okay.
Excellent. All right. Fall special town meeting article. Heather asked that I put this on. First question is, when do we need to have the articles presented to whoever they need to be presented to, the select board? Do we have a date on that?
I don't think we are ready yet to go before the fall town meeting.
Well,
yeah.
that's the next question, but I just, first question was, when do we need to have, if we're going to do an article, when does that need to be submitted?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
So the selectmen vote tomorrow evening on the date for the special town meeting, as
Okay.
well as the opening and closing of the warrant, which
Okay.
we proposed to be by the end of September.
Okay, so we have a couple of meetings left. Okay. So perhaps we just table this tonight. I think that the idea here would be to do an update article.
Yes.
I don't think we're not going to be putting, we're not going to be presenting I don't think a cost to the town. I mean, I just hope for discussion, but I can't see that we'll be ready for that. But certainly an update article, and maybe, it would be to see if the town will accept a presentation from the architect. I'd like maybe this be one of the touch points that we'd have the architect come and give a presentation to the community. I think might be appropriate, but we can certainly take this up at a later date. I think we have 2 more meetings before we'd have to finalize that. So unless anybody has any other thoughts on it.
Greg, if I may,
Go ahead.
I agree with what you just said at the very least. And if we don't have the architect do it, then I feel this committee should do a presentation on town meeting floor and not have it morph into a written report that can be on the table or handed out to participants as they come into town meeting. It was appropriate for this spring's town meeting, but I think we'll be far enough into it in November and people are going to start asking, okay, we're spending this money, what are we getting for it?
Yep.
So I think it's time to be in front of them and tell them what they're getting for it. Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Heather, is it okay if we kind of kick that down the road a meeting or 2,
Yes.
or at least 1 meeting? Okay.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Dave.
I'd say, I mean, I look at it as that we want to be part of, at least be part of I don't know if it's an article, but I think we'd be at a presentation mode too. A presentation.
okay.
So if there's a placeholder to just say
Yeah.
presentation, that's fine.
So can we say that, Heather? I think the answer is yes, we want a placeholder article. It looks like it'll be a presentation article. And we'll word it in the future, but
Yeah, it probably can be worded the same way the annual town meeting article was worded, because that was a report.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. Is there any new business? Okay, seeing none. Future, nope, review and approve minutes. So we have, I believe, 3 to look at. We have the minutes from, let me pull these up. I'm getting close on my time here. Let's see. We have minutes from, let's take them one at a time. December 4th. Does anybody have any comments relative to the December 4th minutes?
Look good.
Okay. I went through them. I thought it was fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't see any issues either. I'd like to make a motion if you'd like to move it forward to accept the minutes for 12/4/2020. 2019, excuse me. That must have been.
Perfect. Okay, is there a second?
We'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, roll call vote. Dave Passios,
Aye.
Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray,
I abstain.
okay, Brian,
Aye.
and I for me. Second is December 18th. I will take any comments or any motions.
I saw no issue, so I'll make a motion that we approve.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Dave Passios,
Aye.
Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray Jeffries,
I abstain.
Brian Leighton,
Aye.
and I from me. Okay, and then we have January 29th. And again, I'll take a motion.
I
or
did
any
a
comments.
quick read. The only thing I noticed was Michael Mackin's last name was
Oh.
spelled wrong.
Okay. Well, he's not here to defend himself, so tough.
All right,
At
that's
least
fine.
Michael Ray was here to defend himself. No, I'm only kidding. I'll fix that.
All right.
I move we approve the January 29, 2020 minutes with the minor correction of last name spelling.
Brian Leighton,
Okay.
and I second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call. Dave Passios,
Aye.
Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray Jeffries,
I abstain.
and Brian Leighton,
Aye.
and I for me. Okay, I think that was all for now. We're ongoing project here. So thanks for the good work, everybody. Appreciate it on that endeavor. I need to get going. Can I pass the torch here, Dave?
Sure.
Are
Is
we
there
close?
anything? I'm sorry. Is there anything left?
I don't know. Well, let's, if there's some, well, all right, let's do
Oh,
it.
no, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, no,
Greg.
it's
Go
okay.
ahead.
I think we're good.
No, Greg. Okay. It's just basically, is there any public is it
Yeah,
public
yeah.
comment from
Let's,
the public?
so let's, well, I think we can do this. I just don't want to rush public comment, but I'll bow out if there's public comment. So future meeting schedule, we decided for the 10th and the 10th and the 21st. So that's what we have for now, and we'll talk about future in October at our next meeting. Is there any public comments from the public?
I hear
I
somebody.
hear some young voices.
That's my baby.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any public comment from the committee? Okay. All right, folks, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Dave Patsios,
Aye.
Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray Jeffries,
Aye.
Brian Leighton,
Aye.
and I for me. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you
Have a
in a
good
week and a
night.
half.
Thanks.
Good night, guys.
Enjoy.